But should we just shortly tell the story?
Yeah, well, we'll tell the story, and then we'll tell, like, how that affected us.
Cool. Okay, so this was our second day of diving in the
dives,
ocean.
yeah.
In the actual ocean. So it was the first day we were trying to... Oh! Fucking bee!
Bee, dude!
Ah! Did you guys
Calm
see
down.
that? Oh, fuck.
He just wanted to be part of the live stream. Dude.
Holy fuck.
Oh my gosh.
So it's the first day we were doing deep dives for our advanced training course. And long story short, we were about 100 feet underwater. And when you're 100 feet down, it's not only extremely freezing temperatures, but it's something called gas narcosis starts to set in, where you kind of feel sort of drunk. It's because like nitrogen bubbles or something like that like start appearing in your bloodstream and stuff. It just makes you feel drunk. So we did a bunch of math problems at the bottom. And I was running very low on air and told my instructor that like it was time to like ascend.
Also, to explain that a little bit more, as soon as the further you go down, the smaller like air gets, so the faster you consume it. So let's say like you have this big of a tank of air. When you go way down, your tank is only about this big. So like air runs out way quicker.
Yeah, you can only be like 100 feet down for like what, like 10 minutes or something?
Yeah.
Or at least at the level we were at, it was like 10 minutes. It could be longer for like professionals, but for us. Anyways, we were down there, we were doing math problems. I could start feeling like slightly like, not drunk almost, but definitely like foggy minded and almost like disoriented slightly. Cause you just look around, like even if you look up, everything's just like this like vast blue and you can't see like anything around you. Like the visibility is kind of like difficult down there.
It's just weird when you don't know which way is up and which way is just sideways. Unless you know, because everything is the same color blue, you know? We couldn't even see, like you said, you can't see the surface. It's like all you see is just
blue.
Nothingness.
It's like dark blue all around you. It's like you're in a different fucking world pretty much. It's crazy. It's like you're in the middle of goddamn Neptune or something looking around. But like, anyways, I started like getting low on air, but what we didn't know is that our instructor's like plan was that since I throughout the entirety of like our dives would have like the worst air consumption, that she was just going to octo me, which means like give me her extra regulator.
Which and you'll see in the video.
Yeah, you'll see that.
Switch tanks and stuff.
And then we were just going to swim to the top because they could like suck their air a little softer.
Yeah, we suck a little softer. He sucks a little harder.
Oh, suck a little harder. That's
you know, that's no big deal. You know, people suck a little harder than others.
It's just preference, you know. But like... Anyways, we started to go up, and I was probably at, and it's like measured in PSI, and so I'm not going to explain that because it's kind of
minutes to help.
Yeah, it's a little confusing, but like let's just say I had like 5 minutes left to get to the surface, and I was 100 feet down, and it took about what, like definitely longer than that to get to the surface, like safely. Like you're supposed to take safety stops.
Yeah, so. Off the bat, you're supposed to take 1 minute at 65 and 3 minutes at 15, so there's 4 minutes. So he only had 5 minutes, and 4 of those would have had to been his like safety procedures if like everything would have gone right. But things didn't.
Things didn't. So long story short, we start to try to kick up to ascend, and what we didn't realize is you usually have like this like life jacket sort of thing on called a BCD, which you can inflate and deflate. And what we didn't realize is that you were supposed to like inflate it just a little bit to help you like kick up. But in the moments, this was our first deep dive, we were just kicking and going nowhere.
We were way heavier than we usually were because we were at the depth. So like us being super heavy, the kicking did nothing. We were actually sinking more than we were like floating.
Yeah.
Which is scary.
And exerting energy too in the cold.
So that 5 minutes worth of air went down to 3 minutes, and then panic started to situate.
Yeah, panic started to set in a little bit. Not to where we were like completely giving up, freaking out, but more like, oh shit, like this is like a serious situation. We got to figure this out. And so we start kicking. You can see in the video that Kayleen, our instructor, is like pulling us up because we're obviously not going anywhere. And then what we didn't really capture on camera like too well, since we only had like one GoPro, is there was another lady with us who was like assisting Kayleen, and she ended up running out of air as well and had to use our filmer Justin's tank. So there were 2 people, me and Kayleen, and then this other lady and Justin,
everyone's sharing tanks at this point. So like, imagine having 5 minutes of air, and then someone takes half your tank, so now you have 2.5 minutes of air, like that. Like immediately, like cuts everybody in half, and everyone then is like, "Oh shit, this is like real."
Yeah, and what was the very real part about it all was that like all that was happening, and like because we were kicking up, like I was looking up most of the time, but then like every once in a while I would look down and like see the surface, or not the surface,
the
floor of the ocean still like beneath me. Like we had only gone up like 10 or 15 feet. I was
You'll
like,
see
fuck!
it. You'll see it in the video that the meter, it marks 100 feet when we were like first start to panic, and then like a few minutes later you see it, and it's only at 90 feet. Like we only went up 10 feet by kicking so hard, and like 10 feet's not that much. Like a lot of pools are like 10 feet. Like we did not move very much at all.
Not at all. And so we obviously knew, or Kaylee knew, there was like a problem at this point. Luckily, by the grace of God, I have no idea what would have happened if we didn't have this, but there was this like buoy with an anchor line all the way to the bottom. So it was like just like a giant line that we could swim to. And so we all kind of dipped forward like towards that because we needed to get to the top quick, and then just started like yanking the rope to like get ourselves up, obviously in like slow motion.
Yeah, we were like pulling ourselves up. Again, if the faster you go, the more the like nitrogen in your bloodstream like affects you. And if you go up too fast, then you can get sicknesses and stuff like that, and bad things can start to happen. So in the video, you'll see like we go slow, and that's not because we aren't panicking. It's because you have to go slow.
Yeah.
So like we were going slow, but you know, as that was happening, we're all checking our air and like, oh shit, like 2 minutes left, 1 minute left. Like, you know, it was cutting to close.
Yeah, we were going real fast, and like, again, you're supposed to take the stops just to like decompress and stuff like that and make sure you don't explode. But we kind of just totally blew through that because there was like a panic, which is really dangerous. Nobody should do that if they're diving. But also another part that the camera didn't get is Justin and his like girl that was like using his tanks or whatever like swam up, and while Kayleen and I were on this line poling, about 15 feet before the surface, like we were finally almost there, there was like a huge clump of seaweed all tangled around like this huge line to where like the octo I was using from her tank was going to get like tangled because she was on the other side of the line, if that makes any sense.
Basically, yeah, like he was connected to her tank and that cord was about to get stuck.
Yeah, and to like this huge glob of like seaweed. And so like I made like, and this is a bad, don't do this, so I made like a wrong error of judgment here, but like I just thought like, oh, I can see the surface now, I'm just gonna like ditch her like breathing and just kick. And so that's what I did. I made it to the surface and we were fine, but it was really dangerous.
Yeah, basically like Kayleen's amazing, and she like taught us the right way to do it. We just didn't do the right thing. She said that in like 15 years, it's one of her worst dives.
Yeah.
Like she said, like it was really bad thing to do. It was a great experience to have because we learned so much, and like it taught us, it taught her, it taught everybody like what to do. But it was just like not necessarily like, I don't know. It was bad for our entire experience because in that case we had to end dives for that day. We had to go do extra dives in the next couple of days, which we don't show just because it's we didn't even show that. Just kind of like we weren't supposed to have to do those. We had to push our shipwreck day like later on. It was just a mess. But yeah, so like that whole thing happened, but like we don't really explain. We kind of explain that, not as much in detail, but that happened. We don't explain like how it made us feel.
Yeah.
And so like I think it's a little bit different for both of us because we're in different situations. Like I said, with Colby, he ran out of air a little faster, and then they were sharing tanks. Each of the other two groups, I was kind of on my own, just switching back and forth, looking at one group of people that were sharing tanks and the other ones, and I was just kind of on my own. So at the beginning, I didn't really think much of it. Like Colby was like, "Yeah, like I'm out of air. We should go up." I'm like, "Okay, we should go up. Like that's fine." Like, you know, Kayleen said it'd be okay. Like we're gonna be fine. And we start going up, and you know, kicking and everything. Like we said, we weren't going anywhere. I was like, "Yeah, we should really start to move up faster. Like, come on." And then it really set in for me that like things were starting to go bad when he, like, we were like basically on the ocean floor, and he had to like get on Kayleen's tank. And then almost immediately after, like a minute later, the assistant instructor went over to Justin's and had to share tanks. So I just saw 2 different people share tanks in a matter of like a minute and a half, and that's when I'm like, oh shit, we are still like 100 feet or 90 feet, and 2 people are switching air. Like, I don't think this is normal. Like, fuck.
Yeah,
type
no,
of
it's
thing.
definitely not. Like,
so
using Octo is crazy.
Yeah, apparently almost no one ever uses the extra tank. Like, no one shares tanks. Like, that's just not something you do. And so I, like, at that moment was just like, okay, obviously they're going to use their air way faster. Like, it's like my only job right now is to stay as calm as possible and let them figure it out and just be there, like, if anyone needs to, like, I don't know, be around. But I was basically like, holy fuck, just stay calm. Like, everyone's about to panic type thing.
Yeah, and like, so, believe it or not, like, I was really nervous and had like a lot of anxiety, like a lot of like the nights before, like these dives. But like when it actually was happening, it was more of like a execution, like focus mode, and a little bit of panic, but like not again to where like I was freaking out to where I couldn't control anything. It was more like, oh shit, we gotta go to the top fast, sort of like a panic. And so, I mean, it was kind of like a scary experience, but like, again, we were just acting on instincts at this point. It all happened so fast that it was just kind of like, all right, what do we do next? I got out of the water and sort of like felt like dizzy, almost like, yeah, kind of like a hangover, like the next day where you're just kind of like foggy minded and like, oh, well, I don't feel like 100%.
Yeah.
And same with our filmer, Justin, like for days after, said he would like stand up, like feel like he was about to like fall over and shit.
Yeah.
So it was like
those,
super bad.
Blood rushes and like vertigo and I don't know, weird stuff like that. But yeah, it didn't really hit me till like that night. Like it was like, oh shit, this is like an intense moment. But we do a lot of intense moments. Like for some reason we just find ourselves in really intense situations that we have to kind of figure shit out. And then later you like realize what could have actually happened. Like it was that
when you
night.
reflect is when it's scary.
Yeah, when Kayleen told us how bad it was and how like close everything was, then like it kind of set in and we were on our way home that night. It was kind of like, oh shit, like, yeah, we did have like only 3 minutes left.
Yeah, you know? What sucked about it too, like, or the worst part was that we had like 2 more days of diving after this. Like we had the extra day that you guys aren't going to see, and then we had like the shipwreck dive day. And so like the shipwreck being my biggest anxiety of like everything, like having that happen like a few days before did not help our peace of mind whatsoever. Yeah. It was more like I was at home thinking like, oh shit, okay, well I went through the hardest part, like hopefully that will never happen. And you know, luckily it didn't. But
the only thing it did do was show us the worst that could happen.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that was our first deepest dive. We did a couple more that were at that same like 100-foot level, and it kind of showed you like if you could figure it out, and now you know what to do when stuff goes wrong at 100 feet. Now it's like if it happened again, it wasn't as big of a deal. So I think even though it was really, really scary and probably made us more anxious for the next dives, it also probably made us more prepared.
Yeah, it taught us how to deal with a stressful situation underwater. Like that dive, like we needed it to happen. So like, cause I was so scared for the moment of like, what if I freak out underwater? And you guys will see that in this video. Like I talk about it before we even dive at all. Yeah. And then we freaked out underwater. You know, like we did what we were scared about. And like, so after that.
And you still didn't die.
And still didn't die. We were fine. And like, it honestly wasn't like as bad as like I was making up to be in my mind. So it was like that moment now thinking back on it taught me that, hey, like if I could survive that and like literally went through like my worst fear underwater, it's like, but then, you know, I fucking did it.
Yeah, it's all a mindset. It's all just like understanding like what to actually do in those dire situations. Like I think honestly, and you guys tell us when you watch the video, but like I think we handled it pretty well for being in that situation and realizing how low of air we were all on and how deep we were, and it being our first deep dive. Like I think we like handled panic very well.
Definitely,
we were like,
definitely.
Like, let's do this. Let's get calm. Let's go to the places we need to go and get up.
And that's another thing, like, we wanted to say on this live stream before, like, actually posting it is, like, again, it doesn't look as crazy as we're making it sound. Just want to say that right now.
Because like one, because it's like slow motion in water, and then two, because like it's in your head. It's
there's
like
no communication.
You don't know how much air is on our like thing, like from the video. Like you can't see that. So it's all like what we could tell you, and we can't obviously tell you while we're underwater. So it's like all this panic is happening in our mind, but on the video it's going to be like us slowly swimming over to this thing, and then slowly ascending like this as a group, and like people like sharing oxygen tanks. It doesn't actually look like, you know, this could be a dire or deadly situation.
Yeah, there's like this one point that like Kayleen pans to my face when like we're going like up the reel, and you can like literally just see like sheer like focus in my eyes.
Yeah, like
it's like almost like angry, sort of like a holy shit look.
Like
10-20 minutes afterwards too, because like I know Justin like was really quiet for like an hour afterwards, and
yeah, shout out Justin.
Yeah,
that,
oh my
like,
god,
we put him through something that he's never probably gone through. That's probably like one of the closest near-death experiences he's had.
Yeah, he said that was his worst dive of all time, and he's been diving like way before us.
Yeah, like 50 times. And so no, like you could tell it really affected him. You could tell it affected Kayleen. Afterwards, it definitely affected us, going like, oh shit, we kind of fucked up. We were kind of in that moment of like focus and do it for the video, and we got this type of thing, because that's just kind of who we are. But yeah, like going over the next couple days, it was kind of like, oh fuck, like this could have been really bad.
Yeah, it was an intense situation. Definitely like I don't know if I would call it near-death experience, but definitely like one of the top 3 highest intense moments of my life.
Yeah,
for sure.
It wasn't like near death, like as in like we were out of air to the point where we were like gagging and drowning. It was just one of those situations that like you realize if you don't act now, you could die. Like, but if you acted now, you were fine. It was just like,
it's like keep your composure.
Pressure's on. Don't freak out. Make it happen. Type of moment. Which are cool moments. There are things that we're going to remember for the rest of our lives, but they're just kind of scary. Yeah,
they're just, yeah. But again, now, like, after we said all that, like, just want to say now, personally, like, I love diving. Like, it's not something that, like, scarred me and, like, makes me hate it forever. Because the next dives after that went well with no problems at all. Like, we didn't really show this in the video, but I used Kayleen's Octo one more time going up from the Yukon shipwreck, but that was only because, like, we wanted to conserve like air and be safe. It wasn't because like anybody was running out. And so I don't know, after that whole experience and like nailing 2 wreck dives, which is like an insane accomplishment for only 5 days of training, like I'm like, oh hell yeah, in like the Caribbean or something like that, or warmer waters, this is gonna be fucking easy.
Where we don't have to go 100 feet down, and you can see much more, and like
we went in chill. Fucking January in LA.
It was so cold.
Like, why the fuck? It was so freezing.
Yeah.
And so that was like a huge factor too, you gotta remember.
But yeah, guys, this is like a movie. I watched this like a couple times last night too, and I was just like, oh my god, like this one tells a crazy story, obviously one of the crazy experiences we've had in our lives, but then also is like really cool ending, and I really want you guys' opinion on that. And obviously, you know, since we've been talking about this for like a couple of weeks now, this video means a lot to us. So yeah, like, again, we always say this, but the best thing you could possibly do for us would be to like share this stuff, like tweet out hashtag 25by25, tell a friend about us, subscribe, like just like consuming the content and just being there on the journey is like the best thing you could possibly do.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people like realize how much that helps like a creator, but like it's all free. And yeah, just like a like, comment, and subscribe. And a lot of you, thank you so much for doing that, by the way. We see all that love. But it really does help. And yeah, it gets like our video more views, pretty much, just to put it blunt, if you like engage on it more.
Yeah.
So that's
and
what
also
we're trying to do.
we really want the feedback too. Like, just, you know, comment to comment, cool, but also comment and like let us know like what was the good parts, what are the bad parts, what are the scary parts. Like we've been reading a ton of comments on the last 2 25by25 videos to get inspiration for the next one. So like when we see people liking, like physically liking the video, we know like, oh, this is a good video. And we see people comment, and like we read those comments, we say like, oh, this is what we need to change, or this is what we need to keep doing.
For example, the drifting video, you guys killed it on the comments. It has like over 20K or something like that.
Yeah, and all the comments were
insane.
just like, wow, I didn't know I wanted to do drifting, or like I didn't realize like cars could be cool like this, and like people weren't car nerds, but then they were like, oh, this is a fun video, or this is a fun video. And so it just kind of made us and showed us that, oh, we can learn random skills that aren't necessarily popular, and then like make them really interesting videos.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, thanks for all the support. It is getting close to 1, so we're gonna go upstairs and post and get everything ready. But yeah, if you guys want to tweet or post on Instagram, hashtag 25by25, get ready for all this. Feel free to clip this video and show like emotions and stuff like that, because we don't say this thing in the video. This is only for Instagram. It's only for you guys.
Yeah, it would be way too long if we tried to explain everything.
Yeah.
It'd be too boring.
Definitely. But thank you guys so much. Hashtag 25by25. 15 minutes until the real video.
Game day!